So thank you everybody for joining us today. Today we're joined as our expert by Jennifer Chang, who is a co-founder of a local entrepreneur group called TechSparks and who recently joined AI company Playform as their CEO. And this is going to be a great topic because Jennifer is here today to answer all your questions about NFTs. And I know you have a lot of info to share with folks, so take it away, Jennifer.
All right, cool. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. It's great to share with Innovate Pasadena. I've been part of this organization since the start and, just love this community. So wanted to share my latest startup with you guys. So I'm currently CEO of Playform, which is a no-code AI software for creative people. You can find it at playform.io. So just to start off the conversation around NFTs, and in particular, I'm going to be focusing on the application around crypto art or NFT art. So this is a technology that has existed, for a couple of years now. That being said, just recently in the last few months, we've seen a lot of new hype and interest and awareness of NFTs, particularly because of the Beeple piece, the Everydays collection, which sold at the Christie's auction for $69 million in March. And so as you can see, after a couple of years of very little activity, all of a sudden you see this huge spike in value. But note that this industry is still really nascent. It's still at 645 million, which is still very small compared to the larger art market. So today we're going to talk about WTF NFTs. So I'm just going to start there. What is an NFT? An NFT is a non-fungible token. So just to start, I'm going to explain what is fungible. Fungible means that one thing can be traded for another, that it has a value that can be exchanged within that type. So Bitcoin is fungible because one Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin. Non-fungible means that the two, when you have two pieces, two assets that cannot be traded at equal value. So one piece of digital art or NFT art is not the same value as another piece of NFT art. They might be on the same blockchain, but each piece of art is different and therefore cannot be necessarily traded one for one. And so a good way to think about this is a good comparison is like the dollar is a fungible asset versus a painting of the Mona Lisa. Bitcoin is a fungible asset versus digital art. So I hope that helps kind of explain what is NFTs and why is it so important? That's kind of the second question. The reason that NFTs have just really exploded and really captivated the market is because it's a real game changer for digital artists. Up until now, digital art has been really difficult to monetize or even place value on, because how do you place value on something where you create it, you put it on Instagram, someone else screenshots it, and then they post it somewhere else? Who owns this? Blockchain provides the opportunity to actually prove the ownership. And then once you can prove that you own it, you could also transfer ownership to someone else. And therefore it gives it value. The other super exciting thing about NFTs is that through smart contracts, you can actually enable the original creator to participate in secondary sales. So if you sell an artwork today, and you'll get, you'll get 100% of that sale, but say that the new owner then flips it to someone else for a higher price. The original creator can have it in their smart contract that they get a percentage of that. In the art world so far, the standard percentage that I'm seeing is 10% of secondary sales. And I just also wanted to introduce the concept of crypto art marketplaces. So there's a ton of new marketplaces that have been opening all over the place, but these are some of the notable ones that are out there. Nifty Gateway was the marketplace that was the home to Beeple. Super Rare is becoming a very rapidly growing art marketplace. And there's been a new one called Foundation that was launched last year that's becoming increasingly popular with artists. And then there's Maker's Place, Known Origin, and then OpenSea is kind of like the biggest NFT marketplace out there. And anyone can come and mint things. And so these are some of the ones that if you're interested in getting into this space, I would look into these companies. So now I'm going to just take it back to the context of my company, Playform. So Playform is a no-code AI for creative people. And what we mean by that is that we have the technology that enables artists to train their own AI. So you can train an AI to do different tasks for you. You can feed it an image set and say, hey, show me what else this image set could be. What more could we add to this? You could also do things like, can you merge this image set with this image set and show me what the possibilities are? And the AI can basically look through these images, learn visually, and then present you new options that you can curate from. And so I'm going to also just take you through how a few NFT artists are using Playform to create NFTs. So the first artist I'm going to start with is Sturek. Sturek has been in the NFT scene since the beginning in 2018. And she's just a really interesting, cool artist. You can find her on Twitter at Sturek5. So Sturk went on Playform, and believe it or not, she just had these MRI scans of her brain. She had 217 images of her actual brain, which she fed into Playform. And then she took 30 images of her original artwork. She does a lot of graphic design and generative art. And so these were all patterns that she had created herself. And so she put that into Playform, the inspiration being, which is what informs the shapes and contours of the piece, and then the influences determine the colors. And so she put in her brain on one side, and then she put her art on another. And the result is something that we said looks like your brain on drugs. And using the video tool, she went through and she picked her favorite pieces from all the thousands of iterations that the AI gave her. And using our video tool, she stitched these into videos that are now on sale on OpenSea. So you can go check out her exhibition, My Brain on Drugs. You can go to playform.io/Sturek and see all the results from that exhibition, as well as her artist talk. Another artist I'm going to feature here is Mattia Cutini, also known as Mattia C. You can follow him on Twitter at Mattia C. And this was the artwork that he created with us called Define Undefined. And the way he did that, when you think about computer art, you think about digital art, you're thinking everything is done on a computer. But the really fun thing about what Mattia did was he actually hand printed using stamps a bunch of different or unique original designs. He created 60 of these. Some were just black and white, some were black, white, and red. And he did this all by hand, and then he fed it into the AI. So he took all the different designs he had created, and then he told the AI to iterate on that. And so the AI came up with thousands of more options of the different combinations and styles that could emerge from just looking at the 60 images that he uploaded. And then Mattia's practices around like fighting with machines. He's really into glitch art and trying to figure out how to trick machines to do the things that they might not be programmed for. And so what he did here was he tried to like put in different inputs to make the AI create different variations. Then he took those variations and then trained them again. And he just kept running them through different AI programs until he came up with just kind of this crazy, like very interesting work of art that not only reflects the things that he did on hand, but also reflects kind of his battle with the AI. And the resulting series is called Define Undefined, and it was put up on Super Rare. And actually the entire series sold out. It was collected, all 12 pieces were collected. And actually this particular piece right here was collected by MetaPurse, which if you are familiar with the $69 million Beeple sale, MetaPurse was the acquirer of that artwork from the Christie's piece, and is actually also holding this artist as well. You can follow Mattia on Twitter at Mattia C, or you can go to playform.io/Mattia C to see more about this collection, see all the different artworks, as well as his full artist talk. So NFTs start here. If you're curious about how to use Playform to create NFTs, then you can get started free at playform.io. So come check it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. And I think that that very last piece of info flows well into the first question that we were asked here, or that was asked of you, which I'm sharing on the screen for everybody. And so that question is,
Okay.
can you please explain or show us via visuals, what is the process of uploading work for NFT?
Cool. So, so the actual process of uploading an NFT is going to vary based on which marketplace you're listing on, but the process is not all that complicated. It's in most cases it's a lot like uploading images to any other website, but there's just a couple of things that you'll need to know in order to create an NFT. One, you're going to need a digital wallet. So you need a digital wallet that you can sign into the NFT marketplace with. The most popular wallets in the NFT art space are MetaMask and Fortmatic. So those would be a couple of wallets that I would recommend you check out. The other thing is that some marketplaces allow you to directly upload the image, but other marketplaces, you have to bring a URL to the marketplace. And so there's different places where you can actually store this artwork, not in the cloud, but in a distributed file system. Like one that's very popular is called the Interplanetary File System. It's a decentralized system. And so that the artwork, the file that you create essentially will never get destroyed. It's living within this distributed network. The other key thing to think about there is once you tokenize, once you mint an NFT and put it onto the blockchain, you can't ever change it. And so essentially the idea is there is no edit button with NFTs. If you make a mistake and maybe the metadata you entered or something like that is incorrect, or you want to change it, you actually have to burn the NFT, like remove it from the blockchain and start over. Another key part of this too, and this is kind of the piece that tends to be the biggest hurdle, is that in order to tokenize that file as an NFT, you're going to have to pay, you might need to pay a transaction fee. Most of the popular marketplaces with a lot of collectors are on the Ethereum blockchain. And so with the Ethereum blockchain, they have something that they call a gas fee. This fee fluctuates based on demand. There's different websites you can go on, like I think it was called like Ethereum gas station or something like that, where you can go and actually check the price of gas at the moment. But it's based on demand. So like lately with the, kind of the hype and craziness around NFTs and everyone trying to get into it, and also the price of Ethereum has been skyrocketing and crashing and, kind of been doing a lot. So the price of gas was like was extremely high and somewhat prohibitive for people to get into NFTs. But I think there's going to be a lot happening in that space over the next few months. So something to watch. In regards to beginners, I would recommend that you check out OpenSea, because I think that's just kind of the most user-friendly platform. Uploading on that platform is just, like I said, similar to Pinterest. There isn't really, it's not very complicated. The other great thing about OpenSea for beginners is that they have this feature called lazy minting, which means you upload your artwork, you put everything into OpenSea, but they will not actually tokenize it until it sales. So that means you won't have to pay the gas fee up front. You can wait and see if anyone buys your artwork. And then at that point, OpenSea will tokenize it and you will take that fee out of what the collector pays.
So we have a lot of questions that folks have already asked when they signed up, but we do have a question here in the chat from Jeff, and I think it's kind of relevant to what you're explaining right now. He is asking if a digital work is created and turned into an NFT, does the artist sell the NFT and retain the reproduction rights, as is the case with analog art sold through traditional means?
So the way it works is essentially they're buying the file, right? They're buying that file. Yes, you could continue. The artist still retains the copyright since that's controlled by US law, right? So the NFTs are not part of like the legal system yet. The blockchain isn't really part of US law. So you still own the copyright. If you want to reproduce it, you can. But if you're an artist that's reproducing artwork that you sold as an NFT, that's probably going to drive down the value of your NFTs, because collectors are going to feel like, well, if I buy this, this artist is just going around and printing more copies of it, which is similar to what you already have in the art world, right? If you're printing multiple editions, then it's going to be less valuable than if you sell one of a kind. And so it's just something that you should keep in mind as you're kind of thinking about your general strategy and how you're going to develop these relationships with collectors. A lot of this still requires that kind of trust between collector and artist. And so if you are reproducing tons of them and collectors are not comfortable with it, it might just make it harder for you to sell NFTs.
Great. And we have another question that's been asked here. How has NFT been used in political fundraising?
Yeah, so I thought this was a really cool question, actually. So I'm not aware of any cases where NFTs were used for political fundraising. I don't know if that's happened, but I've seen a lot of cases where it's being used to raise funds for causes. And the way I would think about this is like, NFTs work great in cases where there's a product where there's also social value, right? And so like, for example, you see political campaigns selling bumper stickers, and why are people buying bumper stickers? You don't need a bumper sticker to drive a car. The car works perfectly fine without them. The reason supporters buy and pay a premium for a bumper sticker that says Black Lives Matter or Make America Great Again is not because the sticker is valuable, because it's something that they can put on their car and make a social statement, right? There is a social value to that little piece of paper that has a sticky thing on it. And I think it's a good explanation of what NFTs are for. NFTs are really for these digital products that also require social verification, right? It matters that you own it. So art just goes really well with this application, because art has always been something that is so personal, but also very social. Like, why do you buy art? You don't necessarily need art in your life, but you want it. You want it because it shows everyone else, this about me, right? Having this artwork up in my house says something about me. Having these sneakers, these, Air Force whatevers, why do people pay such a premium for it? Why do people care that they own it? Because it says something about them. And so I think if you look at what NFTs have been successful at, it's been a lot of things where it's not just about a product, but that ownership of the product also has social value, like art, sneakers, photos with celebrities. I want to own Jack Dorsey's first tweet. Like, does it matter that you own Jack Dorsey's first tweet? Like, it doesn't do anything, but it gives you a social clout to be able to say, I own that. And so the list goes on, but that's a good way of like looking at, is this something that can be an NFT, or is it something that doesn't really make sense as an NFT?
Great. And we have another question. Do you think NFTs will ever have a place in real estate transactions?
Yeah, I thought this was a cool question as well. So there's a ton of stuff happening with blockchain and real estate. I don't know if there's been anything specifically around NFTs, but I just don't know if NFTs would specifically be mass adopted, because the whole point of NFTs is to be able to say, I own this, and I can transfer that ownership. And so with real estate, the fact is you can just go to the city and the city already knows who owns everything. And so there really is no reason to have NFTs in real estate in general. That being said, I can see a scenario like, say the house was designed by Frank Gehry. That's not just a house, right? That's a house that's been designed by an artist that everyone's very familiar with. And so maybe that house would come with an NFT of the blueprint signed by Frank, and it could be transferred owner to owner along with the property. And it essentially creates an additional value to the property. And it would also enable someone like Frank to receive secondary sales revenue each time the house sells, right? Like right now, architects, they design a beautiful house. The house is famous because they designed it. Yet as the property changes values, they get no benefit from it. Whereas that could be an opportunity for architects and NFTs.
I feel like you just gave some real estate professional out there a business idea.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll
So
help.
if you,
I'm hoping it'll help architects. I'm friends with a lot of architects, and I find it like sad that they don't get royalties. So I feel like that could be a really good business for someone.
well, if we see that business pop up, we know who came up with the idea. So you're asked, what is the biggest advice for someone starting out in releasing NFTs?
Yeah, so I mentioned OpenSea, which I think is a great place for people to get started. Yeah, number one piece of advice, just get started. I feel like tech rewards early adopters, right? Tech is built by early adopters, and they also tend to reward early adopters. And what I mean by that is, some of the biggest YouTube stars were people who started back before anyone was even on YouTube, but they were able to, continue gaining followers over a long period of time. The algorithm rewards people who have more content on the platform, more activity on the platform. And so they were able to accrue the data by being early adopters. And so if you're thinking about doing NFTs, I say get started, just get out there, because even though I don't think, I want you to be realistic about the expectations. This is not a massive market yet. Yes, everyone's talking about it. There's a ton of venture capital going into it. And I think that's going to make it a really viable industry. But at this point, like I said, it was like 645 million. That's not a huge market yet. But if you start now, you're going to start building the data around your wallet about all these art sales and, what they went for and who collected them and how many times it turned around. And, all of that data is going to become more and more important as this industry matures. And so I think it's really important that you just get in there, get started. You'll figure it out. You still have a lot of time to figure it out. And then the other thing I would say is, to sell NFTs right now, it's still really largely based on your social reach. There's probably about 2,000 collectors like on Super Rare right now. So if you're trying to find 2,000 collectors out of billions of people, you're going to need a massive following, because you're literally looking for needles in the haystack. And so right now, there isn't a lot of discoverability on the marketplaces. And so a lot of the onus of bringing collectors to the table is going to the artist. And so getting on social media, engaging people, building relationships with followers, and building collectors, I think that's the thing that you really need to start focusing on now. And over time, I think this industry will only mature. And if you get in it early, you'll have the data and relationships to take you to that next level. You'll be at the front of the line when everyone else is trying to join, because they're now seeing these artists making money with NFTs.
So we have a question here from Robbie, who asks, can NFT owners block access to pre-existing digital copies of the file that has been converted to an NFT?
I don't know if you can block access. I think some of the marketplaces screen to make sure no one else has already put that out there. But in regards to actually blocking it, I don't think so. So, and for this question, I'm gonna reference. I'm gonna let you guys check out a story that came out. I think a month ago. So the Beeple piece, which sold for $69 million, someone figured out, they call it, it was called sleepy minting, but they figured out a hack which allowed them to like hack into Beeple's wallet and make it look like this artwork, which he just took a screenshot of the actual artwork and he put it up for sale again, just to make a point about the fact that he could do it. And so that was kind of like a flaw in the smart contract or something like that, which enabled him to do this. And so, yes, there's definitely fraud happening right now. But I do think this is just so early in the industry, right? There's always these problems at the beginning. And that's what the rest of us are here for, the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs are here to solve these problems. And so I think while at this phase, there, kind of the authenticity, the risk of fraud and all of that is still pretty high. I think we're going to start solving those problems over the next few years. And that's why you're going to see NFTs just really take off, because at this phase, it's just really that the base technology has become available, and that you're seeing these early adopter artists jumping onto this platform, and a lot of celebrities who have that large social following that have an advantage joining into the whole NFT thing. But I feel like really for this ecosystem to become, real, it's going to have to scale. And I think we're going to start to see something like the YouTube ecosystem, the YouTube creator economy, also happen in NFTs. You're going to have a lot of startups that are going to come in and they're going to solve these specific problems around fraud and authenticity and all of that, and building better smart contracts and better wallets that can't get hacked. And over time, we're going to actually see this mature into something really substantial.
So you have another question here from Rob regarding real estate. Could NFTs solve a problem in markets where centralized record keeping, think the favelas of Rio, isn't as developed?
Hi, Rob. Yeah, that could be an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah, so where that centralized, I would say, like when I was answering the real estate question, I was thinking about the U.S. market, but that's true in other markets where that you don't have that centralized record keeping. NFTs or other blockchain technology can easily be used to facilitate all of that.
Cool. And I just want to remind everybody, you did say you can run a little bit over, so you can join us for a little bit longer here today. If anybody has any additional questions, please type them in the Q&A or in the chat.
I see something in the chat. Jeff asked, if an analog piece of art is created and scanned, can the NFT and analog piece be sold as separate assets? And that's a great question, because that's another thing that I think needs to be figured out. So a month or two ago, there was another kind of big story in the NFT world where these guys bought a work of art by Banksy. They scanned it and created an NFT, and then live on YouTube or somewhere, I think they streamed it. They burned the actual physical piece by Banksy, that the original artwork, which was kind of rude because it's not their art. But you'll see this happen a lot within the NFT art world. People will create something, they'll turn it into NFT, and then they'll like burn it, and they'll actually create videos of them burning it. Going back to that other question about can you keep reproducing? Like I said, that's really going to be a factor of whether or not people want to buy it. And so a lot of people have started burning and creating videos of them burning the actual physical artwork to show collectors this is the only piece out there. And that's becoming a trend. I personally think it's fine if the actual creator is burning their own artwork. I thought it was just kind of rude that you would buy a piece from Banksy and burn it when it's not actually yours. But yes, right now you can have an NFT and you can also have a physical piece. They can be sold as separate assets. But all of this is the decision that NFT creators have to think about, because it could devalue your NFT if the collector is concerned that someone else has it too.
So then, we have another question here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, can an audio file be tokenized as an NFT? Yes. All of this stuff right now, it's really going to affect all the arts. It's going to affect a lot of the creative industries, because yes, you can basically turn anything into NFT. Any file can be turned into an NFT. It's the whole idea is you're just basically putting the address to the file into the blockchain, and it's permanently recorded there, so that the ownership is, as it moves back and forth, everything's being tracked, and you can see who actually owns that piece. And that can apply to music, that can apply to art. There's things around like the physical and digital. I think someone told me it's called phygital now, where they'll sell a pair of these sneakers, and the design for the sneakers as an NFT is being sold alongside it. And if someone that has those shoes wants to just sell the NFTs to someone else because someone else will pay for it, then it's kind of fair game. I think we're going to see a lot more connection happening though over time. I think through smart contracts, we're going to start enforcing a bit more in regards to, can you create more of this and what happens if you do? Also, I've noticed that there's a lot of, different groups out there working on smart contracts that would allow, other participants to be part of the secondary sale beyond the creator. That way you can have like musicians and artists collaborate together and create smart contracts where they split the revenues together. So yeah, I think we're just going to see a ton of experimentation here, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, another question from Robbie. Are there ways that collectors are displaying their NFTs other than computer or phone screens?
So there's quite a few. There's people putting things into like AR and VR galleries now. So you like I forgot what the platform's called, but I just saw one the other day where basically you can log into this like AR gallery and you plug in your wallet and it'll pull the artworks from it so that you can hang it around in this virtual gallery that you can then invite people to come visit. There's also this place called like Decentraland that, the crypto crowd is really into. And there's people that have like galleries inside Decentraland and you can come visit there. And then, as you mentioned, your phone, your computer, and all of that. I also think we're going to come up with some more ways of experiencing digital art as a result of the NFT market, right? So the great thing about NFTs is like, rather than buy something in print, which is like, it's only in print, with NFTs, things can be videos, they can be video and audio, audio visual and all of that as well. So you have the option of how you want to present this. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more screens. I've noticed that Samsung's been investing into NFT companies, and they make a lot of screens, including they have a screen that is a TV and an art frame. So I feel like that could be another direction that you'll see more and more of NFT art going in. So people will just be hanging TVs around their house that also display artwork, but can also be turned on to access the internet or watch television and so on. And there's like other companies out there that are doing like little digital frames so that you can have these things on your desk. And so I think you're going to see a proliferation of all of this. These are all startup ideas, guys. Like there's like, I think in just what we discussed, there's been probably like 100 unicorn companies that could be started.
So come up with one of these ideas, make it into a company, go to TechSparks and pitch your idea.
Yes, I'll see you there.
So we'll give a few minutes if anybody has any last minute questions here, but is there anything interesting going on in the Pasadena area? Since I bring up TechSparks, anything that you want to plug or mention, or any advice for people if they're looking to get into the world of NFTs?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, haven't been out in Pasadena in a while because we've been in a pandemic, but I'm really looking forward to Connect Week 2021 because it is the roaring 20s and there's a lot of pent up demand. And so I'm sure we'll see everyone come out, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all there. Yeah, in regards to the world of NFTs, I just think it's a super exciting time for it. We're at the beginning. Anyone who gets into this, like go through kind of the process of buying and minting NFTs, there's a lot of friction right now. It reminds me of going online in 1996. But look at the world now, right? And this whole cycle of NFTs is just making me feel really old, like tech old, because like I now have the references of being able to remember the .com, as well as what happened with YouTube and social media. And so like it feels very early right now to me. It feels like this is the beginning of any tech cycle that we've experienced to date. But the really exciting thing about it is I'm seeing so much creative energy, like because this tool is going to really unlock potential revenue opportunities for artists, for all creative people. And in my experience, when creative people want something to happen, they will make it happen. They will get together. They will all, they will create the industry. And so, I think just stay tuned, keep watching. If this is intriguing to you, get in it and get in early. And yeah, and then another thing also is if you are interested in NFTs and you want to learn more about this, A16Z, the VC fund, had a NFT summit. And actually one of my friends, he has a company that has actually taken all of this content and broken it down using AI. And you can check it out in the link that Kayin just shared. It's called Clipper, and they have this link here. You could go there and check out that content as well. But yeah, definitely jump in it. Entrepreneurs, there's so many opportunities in this space to create new companies that can really help solve some of these problems and unlock the opportunity for creative people, because that's really what we're going to have left. Right? AI is going to be able to do a lot and is going to start to become more productive than us. Working at an AI company, it's just really incredible what the advancements we've made in artificial intelligence over the last 10 years. But the thing that AI cannot do is creativity and relationships. Until AI can do that, I think we as humans are still safe, and we really need to kind of focus on those attributes of humans and really foster that creativity and help make that become a channel for income, so that people don't need to work for money, but that they can create for money, that they can share for money, that they can do the things that only humans do and still derive an income and support families and, continue the human species, really.
That is a great note to leave off on. I love it. And I'm looking forward to seeing more come out of Playform, see what you're working on. And again, link in the chat for anybody who's looking to learn more. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today and answering our questions.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for attending the Innovate Pasadena Ask Me Anything. Take care.